supply chains caused by COVID-19 is good news for Melbourne truck and trailer equipment manufacturer D'Angelo Engineering. The family-owned business makes parts for the transport industry using old skills and new technology. I chat to Giulio D'Angelo at the Brisbane Truck Show. So we're chatting with Giulio from the Brisbane Truck Show, the second day of the truck show, Friday.
Yes.
And how are you finding it?
Good, very good. In the current circumstances and climate, having an Australian-made product has been very successful, very good customer response, and good to see local manufacturing.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more in detail then. How did the company start? Obviously 1968. Who started it?
From my father, came to Australia and just deciding what he wanted to do between truck driving, a bit of farming, engineering, found his niche in engineering and started going down that path and working for a few companies, manufacturing goods and then breaking away and doing his own thing over the years.
Okay, so what exactly do you specialise in? I've clearly touched base on
started with the repairing and fixing of products, then the natural ability of how to make them better, design them differently, invent products. And those inventions are still what we see today.
Okay.
They still work in today's climate, and the product range just kept growing based on the change of application.
Yeah.
The transport went from one trailer to two trailer application to three trailers, so naturally products change and blend in with those products.
Yeah. So what is so unique about your services then?
Well, our service is that we can quickly make something to suit a client's needs. It's Australian made, locally made, so it demands quicker.
Yeah.
We also can make different configurations more. We don't just work off a catalogue. The catalogue is basically formed on what the customer needs.
Yeah.
And that's where we're very flexible.
And how are those customer needs changing and evolving throughout the time?
Based on the loads are getting heavier.
Yeah.
Trucks are getting bigger, so they need to cart more to try and do less footprint on the road with the amount of trucks.
Yeah.
Then putting more trailers behind a truck.
Okay. And what is your best-selling product? Would you explain?
Our best-selling product is our fifth wheels in all the models. And the fact they're Australian made, we really have good response this weekend. The product just behind us here is a new range, and that is for the equestrian, the farming, also the new fifth wheeler, which is like the what do they call it, the nomads, where they're travelling around Australia caravanning.
Yeah.
And that's been a very big product, and we've had to build a product for Australian market and the versatility compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So that's very successful.
So how do you stay on top of those trends and how do you respond to ever-changing customer needs?
Because we know our job really well, and customers speak and you listen, and then you find that little improvement where 10 people say we need this, and you make something not just to suit those 10, but you make it suit that industry.
Yeah.
But if you know your job and you know your industry, it's easy to do.
Yeah. The last 18 months, obviously, since the pandemic hit our shores.
It's been hard with COVID, with all the restrictions. Victoria's been hit the hardest with the lockdowns, but we've been open every day in those restrictions because transport, food, freight needs to move around, so we're an essential business, needs to be open.
Yeah. So you're happy to be at the Brisbane Truck Show?
Oh, excited, to get out of Victoria for a while, move around,
just
see
for a
people,
little bit.
being able to see people again and enjoy it. And the response that we've had after being locked down and seeing the green and gold colours, people are just like, wow, it's really good.
So have you been to many of these shows previously?
Yeah, we come to Brisbane, have been for probably 15 years, 20 years.
And how do you find these shows? Do they inspire you and give you new ideas?
Because you'll get a new client, you'll get an old client. The old clients are more satisfied because they can shake your hand and say, that's why I buy your equipment, because you're here. You get to talk to them, where on a business level you wouldn't. Today's more relaxed, they come in for a bit of a visit, it's a show, it's not work. So you can have a chat and go off the beaten track a little bit, but fantastic.
That's so great. So Giulio, you're obviously second generation and your son is also here, who's the third generation.
That's correct.
What would you say you've learned from your dad, from the way that you operate?
I've learnt the art of making things by hand. I've learnt the real tradesman art of how to build things the old way and probably the best way. Today, I've just been fortunate to adapt modern technology to make the product, but always with the understanding of how it was really meant to be and designed for the old way. So history is very important, knowing where something, how it was made, why it was made, and just making it transform into today's technology.
But how do you blend the two? Obviously you said handmade. How do you continue with the evolving technology?
Well,
everything's just so easy.
You use computerised machinery to make it faster, but still the way I want it to be made.
Yeah.
So.
Then a little bit more about manufacturing and how that's changed in Australia over the last 18 months. Is it harder being a manufacturer in Australia nowadays?
Very hard, because a lot of people are price driven and they don't care much about quality, and some people, you know, are happy to see it made here localised because the quality is more guaranteed.
Yeah.
We have a lot more quality assurance in Australia than overseas does. We have standards. We now have Australian accreditation, and that holds its own auditing system. So we've got to make sure that we're buying Australian material, we're doing things locally and doing them properly. We've imported products in the past, and the quality is just not guaranteed, and it's very up and down, and we find it's just a better option to make it here.
Okay, so you don't import anything anymore?
No.
No, everything's made here.
Yes.
So with those resources that you use by making things here, has that been affected by the pandemic in terms of importing things?
Even the material might be Australian made, but it's imported in some way or another. You know, some products that just are not made here, for example, the hardware bolts and nuts, they must be brought in, but we are finding as much as we can do in Australia and buy the steel locally and have the labour done here. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And what makes you get out of bed? What makes you enjoy doing what you do?
Passion. Love what I do, really do. Love engineering, love finding an answer to a problem. You know, just because you've got a problem, you've got to fix it. You've got to figure out why. So that side of engineering is fantastic.
Yeah.
Love the customers, love the people. They're down to earth, the trucking people, farming, you know, and there's just no nonsense. It's a yes or a no, and it's real people.
Yeah. So Gabriel, you are the third generation of your family's business.
Yeah.
How old are you?
17.
So do you see yourself taking over one day?
Yes.
And how hard is it to actually learn the manufacturing skills nowadays?
Very hard. There's a lot to it. Like every day you learn more.
Yeah.
And eventually you get there.
So Giulio, you explained that obviously things were made by hand previously, and that is evolving and changing due to technology. Is it hard to teach the younger generation those kind of skills?
No, it's not hard. As an individual, you either can absorb it, adapt it and do it, or you can't. So if Gabriel's fortunate enough to adapt the skill of handmade, learning how it was done by hand, the transition of technology, automation will be easy enough.
Yeah. And what fascinates you about this kind of trade? What really is interesting?
How they work, the way you make them, you know, what they do. You see them there everywhere. It's how, you know, how trucks work, how they get around.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So is this one of your first trips to the truck show?
Yes, this is my first one.
And what do you reckon?
Oh, it's fascinating, big, yeah. Heaps of people, show you off, you know, the product.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's a lot of networking and meeting
A
people.
lot, yeah.
Great skill to have. So Giulio, what have we got here? What exactly
This is
this?
a new range of fifth wheel
Yep.
that was purely designed on customer needs. So it's a very small fifth wheel compared to the large one, because we're becoming a different country where people want a caravan bigger than the average caravan. They want a vehicle much larger, farming. They want a vehicle and a truck in the same sort of vehicle.
Yep.
So this was to accommodate that sort of market where they can have the big boats and the big toys and the caravan. So this little MiniMax is suited for those American style vehicles.
So what does it do then?
It's called a fifth wheeler.
Yeah.
It's basically a hitch, so it's on the vehicle, and the trailer has a kingpin like the larger vehicles that are the larger big prime mover trucks, but made in a much smaller version. So it's just can carry heavier loads, bigger loads in a much more safer type environment.
And how long would it take you to make one of these?
To make one of these, it's within a day, as in a production line.
Yeah.
So, you know, within one day, one assembly can be made.
And you obviously offer servicing as well to the products.
Yes.
If they need
We have a national network of dealerships, people that have been trained in different states of Australia, who buys the product and installs it themselves around the country,
Yep.
who's in Melbourne and wants us to do it for them, it's okay.
Yeah.
When you fit this type of product, you need engineering qualification, as in it's called a VAS, so you can plate the vehicle to say it's been fitted in accordance and it's safe.
Yep.
We can offer that service, and so can a lot of the dealers around Australia.
Yeah, yeah. So would you say this is one of the most best-selling products, or?
Yeah, because it's a new industry. It's a booming industry. You can't travel overseas, so more people are buying more caravans. More people want to utilise this American-style truck,
Yep.
where it's more of a car, but it's comfortable, but it's also a truck, as in its towing capacity.
Yeah.
So it's a big growing industry.
And would you say that it's hard to replicate, or have there been instances where there's
Look,
copycats?
anybody can copy, but no one can design.
Nobody can get it right.
And get it right. So yeah,
And be original,
Anyone can do
yes.
that, but to design it and make it work and understand what it does,
Yep.
that's what we're good at.
Thank you so much. It was a
welcome.
real pleasure to run into you and to be able to do this. So
Yeah, me
thank
too.
you.
Thank you very
Really
much.
enjoyed. Cheers.
Lovely.